How about that? Is that better? Does that make the sound better? Did everything get better? Did that work? No? Is that better? Oh boy. Now you can hear me. Now, it's good. Is the sound better? I think I was trying to make the sound better. Let me adjust the camera just a hair. I got to use a different camera setup for when I do the regular show. Oh man, don't be stupid, camera. Oh. Sorry. I gotta do all these different setups, man. Oh. There we go. You can hear me fine now. Everything's good. Susan Brown, Marcia Smith, everyone is here. C. Blaine, Carl Knight. I'm drinking a delicious vegan smoothie. I was surfing earlier today. Putin was not available. He was busy. He just got done purging the voter rolls in the New York Democratic primary. Oh, wait, that was the Democrats who did that. My fault. Everyone's here. I'll answer your questions in a second. This is a vegan smoothie. I made it with unsweetened organic almond milk, a frozen half of an organic banana, frozen organic peaches and pineapple, frozen spinach, a little spoon of unsweetened organic peanut butter. Here come the vegan mussels. All right, someone is asking, King of Dreams is asking, smoothings and blessings. Smoothie blessings, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for smoothie blessings. So this question, King of D Reams, what do you think about the battle in Idlib, if I'm pronouncing that correctly? Well, I was just watching the interview that Jimmy Dore did with Tulsi Gabbard, which if you haven't had a chance, please listen to it. It's pretty amazing. It's a 3-part series. And, you know, Jimmy, he and Steph were texting me Tuesday when they were like, Tulsi Gabbard's here. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And she talks about how we're funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda to fight Assad's army in that town, and they won't even allow, like, what are they calling it, a pathway for civilians to leave. So we're just, it's insane. It is insane what is happening. And, you know, Tulsi Gabbard is smeared as an Assad apologist. Isn't that great? See the change, yeah. Her honesty and candidness. The interview is fantastic. I mean, and Jimmy, you know, he's point blank asking her, why don't you and Bernie start a third party? Because if you did, it'd be way more popular. And she just said, I don't know that I agree with that would be the case. I don't agree with her on that particular thing. I think if her and Bernie started a third party, it would be overwhelming how many people would join up for that. I don't think the Democratic, her philosophy has changed the Democratic Party from within, and I get where she's coming from. She's a vet, she's a soldier, so she believes in chain of command and the process and all that stuff, which I see that. I would like to ask her, so in 2020, when the Democratic Party screws over another progressive and they put Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or some other corporate Democrat as the nominee, then what? because this incrementalism isn't going to work. You know, they've done a study that the environment, if we don't do drastic changes to save the environment, to reverse climate change, once we get to 2030, it's past the point of no return. There's nothing we can do about it. So we really literally have less than 12 years to do drastic global changes to save climate change. And it's that severe. And it's just like, well, incremental, let's try to, the Democratic Party and all this other stuff. Yeah, 3,700 days. What are we going to do? I mean, C. Blaine says, you know, it's going to be Biden. Why else would Obama be out on the campaign trail? Yeah, exactly. Or Kamala. You know, he endorsed Kamala Harris when she ran for Senate in 2016. You know, and as Jana Kelton says, great interview, was disappointed in her answer about starting a third party. No, I know it was, maybe it is 4 parts, but the interview with Jimmy did. But no, it's, I love her. I think she's awesome. And I, you know, sorry, I just get back from surfing. So hungry. She's a surfer, which I love. But yeah, I agree that I was a little bummed that she said that. Maybe she'll change, because that was recorded on Tuesday ahead of the New York primary. Now we know the New York primary purged voters. Nomiki Konst was live streaming it. She put a video up saying, they purged my name. All these people on Twitter. Jimmy Dore did a video about it. The Democratic Party purged voters again. And what are they going to blame? Russia? I mean, it's unbelievable. They did it again. They cheated again in the primary in New York. They just keep cheating. And we think they're going to be able to change from within. And I appreciate what Tulsi said about, you know, more people are getting involved, more people are voting, and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay. So 3,700 days. Oh, Lee Camp is doing that? Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Jana Kelton, you make a great point. Yeah, how could they not see how hungry people are for a new party that actually represents people and not corps and Wall Street and the military-industrial complex? How can you call people asking for an actual viable party and represent them? I know. Moose Gal, quit worrying about the party one runs in. Kyle Kalinske is correct that it's about the issues. Now, yes, Nomiki Konst could not vote in the recent. Well, she had to do a provisional ballot. She was not. She registered to vote, and she wasn't on the voter roll in New York. Weird. She walked in there with a Bernie shirt, and they didn't have her voter thing. But I agree with it doesn't matter what party somebody votes in, or runs in, vote on the issues, and I agree with that. But just the overall discussion that Jimmy was having with her, that we have a lot. Can the overall Democratic Party get reformed? And I don't know that it can, so what's the point of trying to run within it? You know what I mean? Like, if the Democratic Party is so corrupt and they're all about money and they're pro-war now, the Democratic Party is a war party, and, you know, you get Neera Tanden and whatever, and all these other folks, and then the Chuck Schumers and all that, what's the point of trying to reform from within? Because once you get to the hierarchy of that party, when it gets to who's going to run for president, they're going to stifle the progressive every time, which that's my issue. You know, that's my concern. But yeah, so see, the change said, Jake Tapper asked Ocasio-Cortez about Cuomo's win, and she didn't mention voter fraud, which is disappointing. Yeah, I know. Is she going to start playing their game? You know? It might be because, as C. Blaine says, not every state have open primaries, so it's harder for third parties to get on the ballot. Yeah, I understand that. But that's the thing of, like, starting just a big third party with 2 heavy hitters, Bernie and Tulsi. You get Nina Turner in there. I mean, these are very, Bernie is still the most popular politician out there. It would really, I think way more people would get on board with that party, and then we wouldn't have to deal with all this cheating in the primaries. that party can just run against the Republicans and the Democrats and would probably start winning. You know? So, but you got to get some real money behind it. I don't know. It's Jana Kelton. Bernie went from a no-name senator almost being the biggest political, almost beating the biggest political machine because of the issues he stood for, not because he ran as a Democrat. That's a good point, but you're also sort of saying it here. When it came time to him getting the nomination, nope. Cynthia Nixon becoming the governor of one of the biggest states, nope. We'll let Ocasio-Cortez get a little district in the Bronx, but no way. See how this works? You see how this works? That's my problem with the Democratic Party. I agree with you that Bernie got on the issues and Tulsi Gabbard's getting on the issues, but this like reform from within, I'm not seeing it happen. The Democrats passed that thing. We're going to limit the influence of the superdelegates. This is according to their own website. Limit the influence, but you're still going to have superdelegates. The Republican Party has 0 superdelegates. Because if we can't get a progressive in the White House, as Andrew Sweet and Lee Camp just pointed out, we've got 3,700 days. What are we going to do? Wait till 2024? When we're 6 years removed from and hope? I mean, we're going to be in war in Syria and Iran? If we spend another $5 trillion and another 10, 15 years fighting the global war on terror, then terror be fixed, and then we can stop spending all this money on the military. Do you see what I'm saying? I hear what you're saying. Vote for the issues. I'm all for that. But once you get to the top of the rung, that's when the Democratic Party goes, voomp. They're going to crush you. So, yeah, Stephen Carpolt said Bernie was reportedly cheated and eventually bowed his neck to the machine. He didn't come out and say, you know, yeah, you're right, Jana Kelton, why they do want to take away net neutrality. It's the last and most effective way to shut down progressive voices or any independent voices. You know, if you watch that video I did with Susie Dawson, which was amazing, where she talks about, I did a 2-parter. Please watch it. Susie Dawson's pretty impressive person. She talking about Vault 7 and what the NSA's end game is. They want to have control over every aspect of every person on the face of the earth. That's their end game. So it's pretty like, yeah. So I just feel like, I'm going to vote and support for people. I mean, I can't vote. I'm not registered in Hawaii, but if Tulsi runs for president, I will get behind her across the board. And then when they screw her, because look what she's fighting against. She's fighting against the military-industrial complex. She's fighting against the big corporate donors that control the Democratic Party. I'd love for her to be president, man. Jeremy Chase, progressives aren't going to get anywhere in the Democratic Party. How many elections do they have to rig for somebody to get it? Canova has figured it out. Yeah. Do you think that upcoming, possibly Corp Dems saying that they're progressives, i.e. Gilliam Presley, can be pulled further to the left? That's the thing that scares me is progressives, you know, or fake progressives, calling themselves progressives, winning some election, and then they get into power and it's like, oh, they're going to play the centrist, you know, take the corporate money game. You know, that's troublesome to me. That really is. That's what I worry about. That's, again, what I think why the Democratic machine, the DNC, is either they crush people or they buy you and tell you better play ball, you know? Otherwise, we'll ostracize you like we did Ralph Nader. I think that's what happened to Bernie. I think Bernie said, I don't want to be like Ralph Nader. You know, everybody hates him now after 2000. And it's just like, So I don't know what it is, man. Yeah, talking about Citizens United is the big problem. So, Guten Abend, Dennis from Germany. Free Parsons, if you win an election by voting for someone who doesn't represent you, you lost the election. I won't vote Democratic Party again. Yeah, I mean, I'll vote for certain people and candidates, but yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Marcia brings up Gilliam is not a real progressive. He was a Clinton delegate, you know, and it's just this any blue will do kind of stuff, and they know how to say we're progressives to, you know, to get us to rally, because we're all starving for some like person to get behind the way we got behind Bernie. We're all starving for that. And you know, one of the things that Tulsi and Jimmy were talking about, it's a great point. We've talked about it before on this show, is both Trump and Bernie were outsiders. And look at the support they got. Look at the support they got. Trump did it with, you know, racism and xenophobia and all that stuff. And Bernie did it with a message of like, you know, helping everybody together. And, you know, but Jimmy brought up the brain. He would start all of his speeches of, you ready for a revolution? Well, let's start one. And working inside a broken system, I don't know how that's a revolution. Starting a whole new party that has real support that Americans all across the country would get behind, I think is the way to really do it. That would shake things up immensely. Jeremy Chase, don't forget to hit that like button. Yeah, also, guys, if you want to support the show, you can hit the $, do the super chat. I'll ask you the question. And like and subscribe. And then hit the notification, the bell button, because they're unsubscribing. I'm checking the analytics on YouTube, and they're unsubscribing more than people are subscribing. But then I got a little push, and so it just is creeping up, but I'm seeing how many people there are unsubscribing. Anyway. Trying to be fine. I thought the NSA is supposed to protect our elections now. Where are they in this cheating situation? Shouldn't they be making arrests? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bluebell 51. Robert Fernandez, I'm glad you like the new studio, guys. Going back, one of the things I'm figuring out is I have a Steemit account, and I just got a DLive account. And I just got to figure out, I don't know, and maybe some of you know this, please write it right now, but I don't know this, and I was trying to talk to Arno, if Steemit and DLive allow you to have an administrator. So what I have for YouTube is an administrator. My producer, when I send her my video, she uploads them to YouTube on her schedule, you know, and I don't know if Steemit and DLive have that. So that's one thing I got to figure out. Zidane Kuja. Best to vote for candidates you agree with most and not any party. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to always vote for people. I'm not going to vote for lesser two evils. I won't do it. I'll write in a candidate. I'll write in myself if I have to. If you only have two horrible choices, write somebody in. Write me in. You know, I don't care. Yeah, Bluebell 51 from 2016 on. I vote policy, no policy, no votes from me. Jeremy Chase, the power structure of the party has ways of manipulating progressives. Just look at Bernie. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know, the superdelegate thing. You know, they're going to only do superdelegates in the second round. So it's just like, they're still there. If you still have superdelegates, then you still have a way to rig the system. Agent Dale Chomsky. The parties were designed as expert counterinsurgencies. Their machinery is too entrenched to make any real headway. Changes always has to come from the outside that structure, i.e. civil rights. Yeah. That's an excellent point. Chris Hedges in Cornel West stated that Bernie lost his historical moment when he endorsed Hillary instead of running independent. Yeah, that's my point. You make a great point, Jana. That's what I wish Bernie would have done. Is if he would have said, no, I'm running as an independent, what might have happened? Maybe he would have become president. He would have taken away a lot of Trump people, a lot of just right of center conservatives that really didn't like Hillary. He would have gotten all the Bernie people would have been on board. Anyone that was like, oh, I'm holding my nose and voting for Hillary, or holding my nose and voting for Trump, he would have got them. Because I think people would have gone, you know what? I want to see this happen. I want to shake things up. Yeah. That's the difference between Trump and Bernie. The Republican Party doesn't have superdelegates. Absolutely. Trump won his nomination from his party. Bernie could have. He was doing it, and then they took it from him. If the Democratic Party didn't have superdelegates, Bernie would have won. I mean, they still might have tried to purge voters in the primary and all that other stuff, but that's a great point. Triana, be fine. Break's over. Have a good chat. Thanks for joining us. PSX Box Gamer. I see the DNC rigging it for corporate Kamala, as they will be wiped out. Yeah. Yeah, Moose Gal. Barack Obama made the Democratic Party the war party. He's known as the drone strike king. He dropped 26,171 bombs in 2016 alone. That's the party we're supposed to reform. You can't expect either party to change when they are benefiting from the system we have now. That's why change has to come from the outside, absolutely. It's a balmy 97 degrees here in Nevada. With the surveillance state that the United States has, couldn't they do better than Russia trolls? Yeah, Jeremy Chase, I actually believe Bernie lost his moment when he failed to address election fraud and push the collusion narrative. Yeah, I know. It was, I get the thinking that he probably had, which is, oh, I don't want to seem like a sore loser and say they cheated, but it's like they did, though. They did. That would have shaken up everything if Bernie would have said, I'm running as an independent. You know? Now, had Trump still won, then everyone would have blamed Bernie for Trump. You know, and for good reason. They would have had enough of a reason to. I still wouldn't have blamed him, but a bunch more people would be blaming him than they are now. But he could have won. What if he would have won? What would that have done? What would that have done? What if he took some red states? You know? What would he have done? Would have changed everything. Annabelle Corley. Hey, Graham's greeting from Australia. Tulsi is great when she talked about gun reform. Do you know her thoughts? Yeah, she's fantastic. I mean, she's really, and you know, you watch her talk, I was like, wow, she's a leader. She's a military officer. Like, I was like, this woman I'd follow her into anything. the way she speaks, it's fantastic. Janet Colby, how do you feel about being a senator in Pennsylvania? I'll write you in. Do it. I'll be your senator. They got surfing in Pennsylvania? Because if they don't, well, then I'll enact a surf camp, a surf park, like Kelly Slater has in Austin, Texas. That's what would be my first. If I become senator of Pennsylvania, I'll put an indoor, year-round wave pool for everybody to learn how to surfing. Learn how to surfing. Not a great sentence. Hope you guys aren't real big on syntax in Pennsylvania. Otherwise, I don't think I can be your senator. That's my sitcom. Millions writing your name and suddenly you're POTUS. All right, so I'm conflicted and in Texas. O'Rourke or write in for Graham? Yeah, I mean, Beto O'Rourke said that really powerful video about why it's okay for Colin Kaepernick and the other players to take a knee, but then how much is he a progressive? You guys want to write me in, I'm down. Bluebill 51, if Bernie had run independent, we would have gotten Hillary, and that was the point of the Pied Piper strategy. Yeah. Yeah. And then we'd have Hillary right now. We wouldn't have all this resistance. I don't know. PS Xbox Gamer Graham, even if an independent wins one state, then it will send shockwaves through the establishment. That's an excellent point, too. You know, because Bernie would have been on a stage debating Hillary and Trump. It would have really shaken things up. He would have maybe won several states. Who knows what would have happened? What if he took some red states? You know, what would that look like? He probably could have got Wisconsin and Michigan because Hillary didn't campaign there. I mean, he would have out-populist Trump. He'd have been way to the left of Hillary. Trump and Hillary would have had to run some seriously different campaigns. They might have had to talk about issues rather than just, she's evil, you can't vote for him, he's evil. This smoothie is fantastic. Smoothie break. Smoothie break. Oh man. My whole life should be a smoothie. Yeah, Zidane Kuja, Bernie's town hall in West Virginia in a room full of Trump voters got applause. Think about that. After the election. He did that after the election. Right? How amazing is that? After the election, he did that. That's so fantastic. Did I get to see Chris Hedges on Jimmy Dore's live stream yesterday? I did not. That's so cool. I didn't. Man, Jimmy is just blowing up. It's fantastic. Yeah, Bernie had proof with Donna Brazil's book and still didn't say anything. West Virginians went for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary because Hillary wasn't so kind about coal miners losing their jobs. I'm pissed off at Bernie, but I'd still vote for him again. New York State got rid of most of the IDC members. That's a great win for progressives. But they still just screwed everybody over. I'd have to go to Jersey to serve if I'm a senator in PA. All right, well then I'll just invade New Jersey and make it part of Pennsylvania so I can serve. That's reasonable, right? If I'm your senator, I just become supreme leader of the whole state. Annabelle Corley lives in Melbourne. Love Melbourne. Love it. Andrew Sweet, if Bernie had won, would it have done anything downstream? He'd just be vetoing all the awful GOP shit, better but not great. Well, what would these midterms look like? That's the question if Bernie would have won. And I don't, like, I have this conversation now not to just relive the past, but to show you what could happen if we got a real independent or real progressive in the White House. Because let me suggest this to you. Let's say Bernie did win, okay? And so he spent the last year and a half as president trying to pass all these progressive bills. We don't know, too, if Bernie would have run as an independent, who would have won what Senate and congressional seats in 2016? Right? We don't know. Bernie could be sitting there going, I'm trying to pass this bill and this bill and this bill, and they won't do it, they won't do it, they won't do it, they won't do it, they won't do it. That's what his whole thing would be. I want to pass this bill, they don't do it. 2018, the midterms could look very different. It could be a bunch of people saying, only voting for Bernie endorsed people. Bernie could just be going, look, you want to get these bills passed? You want to get these corporate people out? Get them out of there. And you'd be seeing all of these progressives winning in all of these primaries, and all this stuff would happen. You would see, and then Bernie would say, look, he would back these people. The president, Bernie Sanders, would say, vote for this person so we can get this progressive legislature passed. Vote for this person. So he would go to the districts where the fights were needed, and he would rally all this support, and everyone would go, boom, I'm going to do it. And then in November, they'd get elected, and he'd be like, then from 2018 to 2020, he would just be passing one progressive thing after another, and then he would never lose. He'd be like FDR. That's what would happen. The K-Line report. Hey, Graham, just saw an article in Buffalo, New York, closest city from Ontario, Canada, becoming the next Flint, Michigan. All right, let's talk about that. So, first of all, hats off to the Miss America pageant woman from Michigan. I don't know if you guys saw that, where she went, I'm from the state with 85% of the country's drinkable water, but its citizens don't have access to it. Michigan. Which is like, that's what real, like, resistance has to be. In terms of people getting called out at every turn. Miss America, the most corporate, women in bikinis, like, it's just it's a beauty pageant, and she's talking hardcore politics. So at every turn, they got to keep hearing that message, and more people need to be public about it. It's not just Flint. When more Americans wake up to the fact that it's not just Flint, there's currently 2,000 cities that have lead levels at Flint, Michigan or higher. 2,000. Some of the interviews I've done with Mitchell Helt on this show, he's very up to date on what is going on with water quality around this country, and it's pretty scary. And more people need to be vocal about that. Like, we're running out of time. Like we talked about, the 3,700 days. We're running out of time. So, I'm glad you brought that up here so we can talk about it. But like a city with contaminated water near Canada, the Canadian city could have contaminated water then. All this fracking, just anyone that's for it, like the old rules don't apply anymore, man. Of like centrism and, lesser of two evils. They just don't. They can't. I mean, the survival of the planet is going to hang in the balance. If we don't do anything about it, 30 years from now, it's going to start to be done. I mean, it's pretty insane. Major County, Oklahoma, right? I have a Berkeley water filter. I don't trust the water I get in Sacramento, California. The county north of me has more toxic water than Flint. That's Major County, Oklahoma. That's from Jeremy Chase. Berkeley water filters don't need changing for 10 years. They take the lead out and every other chemical. Oh, that's good to know. I'll look into that. Mike Harold, your cousin was Miss America? Congratulations. PS Xbox Gamer, Graham, I'm from the UK. How would a minority/coalition presidency work in the USA? Could there be a deal between parties? Well, it would have to be, again, it would just have to be how the president would negotiate getting bills passed. You know, and really the thing that the president has is a very, very loud microphone. The president can come on national TV and get everybody to go, look, this is what I need. I mean, look how effective Obama was at getting Obamacare passed. Now, of course, it was Romneycare, but he went on Between Two Ferns. He went on all the late night talk shows. He went on all, you know, all that stuff. You know, Jon Stewart and all those shows. That's what Bernie would do if we had a real independent and the mainstream media was screwing that president over. If they were a real independent progressive, they could just go on. I mean, look what Tulsi came to LA. She went on Joe Rogan, TYT, and Jimmy Dore. She came here from Hawaii and went on the three biggest independent. I mean, Joe Rogan is not necessarily news, but he has these amazing conversations about science and politics and everything, you know, and then TYT and Jimmy. I mean, that's impressive. And I think that's how it would have to get done, to answer your question. You got to go around the system. The GTA Greater Toronto area was a heavy industrial area for 200 years, probably all kinds of shit in our water and land. Yeah, that's, wow. Ever since Keystone, American oil companies have been trying export fracking into Canadian land. Luckily, our government cares about nature for now. Yeah, I mean, you still got Justin Trudeau, who's a big oil guy. Master Ruben, I'm watching you from Tilted Towers. What does that mean? It's a damn shame, but we needed a flint to wake people up, just like we needed a Standing Rock. Yeah. Balthazar 228. Graham, what are your thoughts on a national ID card? You talking about for voting or just in general? Oh, voting ID card. I'm all for that. I'm all for whatever makes voting easier. You know, voting, tax identification, etc. Yeah. Balthazar 228, good to see you back on the show. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm all for it because anything that makes voting easier. Now, they always say, oh, then it'll be too easy it's too corruptible. It's like, that's such a bullshit argument that they make because the electronic voting systems, at a hacking conference, some kid hacked in 10 minutes. They've been completely hacked. So I'm all for it. And we should be able to register and vote easily. Plantastic Life. Thank you for supporting the show, Dominic. I hope Jimmy interviews Howie Hawkins, Green Party candidate for governor of New York. Yeah, so this is the thing that we should talk about for sure. Since Cynthia Nixon got lost and was probably cheated because the Democratic Party purged the polls, vote Green. Don't vote for Cuomo if you live in New York. Vote for this Green Party candidate, Howard Hawkins. Now we're talking. Now let's talk some change. What if New York, which has almost as many or just as many electoral votes as California, right, for the presidential, almost as big population-wise as California. What if they had a Green Party governor? See what could happen? Not Vermont, not some little hippie state, but I mean New York had a Green Party governor. That would be, did I say mayor before? Green Party governor. So thanks for bringing that up. And we're going to talk more about Howie Hawkins as we get into November. But yeah, Jimmy talked about him on the show, and I hope hopefully he'll get him on the show. God, he's had Tulsi Gabbard. You might as well get Howie Hawkins on there. So that's excellent. Dominic, thank you for supporting the show. Carrie Nichols, I'm now a Patreon supporter of yours. Hope that helps. Absolutely, you guys. As I've said, YouTube has taken my money down probably 60 to 70%. I'm not getting that. That was a big part of my revenue. And I'm not getting the Amazon money anymore. So if you can go to Patreon, you know, I have 98, almost 10,000 subscribers. If we got, right now, we got 180 some subscribers. So that's maybe, what is that, 2%? Of the viewers are supporting me on Patreon. If we got that up to 5%, then that's really cool. Because one of the things I could use, this studio has been, I love this new studio, is I have a part-time producer, and she does a fine job. She's busy with a million other things. If I had the money to pay a full-time producer, then I could do even more. I want to grow this channel, you guys. I want to get this message out. I want to get it on as many platforms as possible. It's on Daily Motion. I got to figure out, but that's the thing, like if I had a producer, I could say, you figure out, because I'm busy with all this other stuff, you figure out Steemit and DLive. Let's get that set up and get that going. So yes, Carrie Nichols, you're supporting my show. It's great. Basil Peterson, I voted for Cynthia Zephyr and Jumaine. Now I will vote for Howie. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's put a green in there. Let's see what some other questions you got. And on to, this is going back to Balthazar 228's question about a voter ID, a national voter ID card. K-Line report says in Ontario, we used our driver's license or health card to vote on paper. Should the U.S. follow the same path? Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I think we got to go back to all paper ballots because the electric machines are very hackable. And I mean, I was always in favor of your driver's license. Once you get a driver's license or state ID card, you're automatically registered to vote. You know, I'm for that. I'm for making Election Day either a national holiday where everything's shut down, many countries do this, or moving it on the weekends. And having voting being like 3 days long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And my Monday, we tally the votes. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think it should be. Balthazar 228, Obama was the 4th sitting president to visit a reservation. It was Standing Rock. He claimed we need to honor our treaties with Native Americans, then waited and saw. Oh, yeah. I know. Let's see how this plays out, is what Obama said about Standing Rock. He also went to Flint, Michigan, drank a glass of water from the tap and said, water's great. Water's fine. He did that. Occupy Wall Street happened under his watch. 5.2 million foreclosures happened under his watch. 2 wars to 7 happened under his watch. So, FDR lasted 14 years. The problem is corporate corruption. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, problem is that Americans are more woke, but the politicians cling to absolute power, and that's neoliberalism. Yep, oh, it's gnarly. Moose Gal, Jordan Cheriton does a lot of good stories on his channel regarding our dirty water in the US. I highly recommend watching those videos. Yeah, Jordan's done a lot of really good work. Yeah, Cat B, Obama had every chance to end Dakota Access. Miserable failure. He could have ended it. He waited until December after the election. After Hillary lost, he did it knowing full well a month later when Trump sworn in, he'll overturn it. More token gestures from the Democrats. That's what they do. The cops are on Army Corps land. It's federal land. The President of the United States could absolutely come in there and go, nope, you can't do this. Your pipeline's over. That's sovereign land. That's the Sioux Nation's sovereign land. That's what a reservation is. It's their own sovereign land. It's their own nation. So if they don't want a pipeline, they don't have to have one. Just like, what was it, Fargo, North Dakota said it? I don't want to hear it, man. Crazy bullshit. Moose Gal, I'm not for the national ID card. Wouldn't that make it a big target for the undocumented in the U.S.? I see national ID as a way to get more people deported. Thoughts? Oh, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. Yeah. But then I go back to what I said earlier is when you register for when you first get your driver's license, or as Jeremy Chase said, when you register for the draft, you're automatically registered to vote. You know, when you got to register for selective service, that's when you become 18. Every 18-year-old has to do that. Boom, automatically registered to vote. Or get a driver's license. You know, a lot of countries use a national ID card. That's an interesting question, Moose Gal. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure that I have like a definitive answer for that. Plantastic Life, thank you. Obama and other corporate Dems talk a progressive game when they are out of power. Things change once they can actually do something. Well, this is what they do. This is what they do. The state of California Democrats tried to pass they wrote a single-payer health care law when Arnold was the governor, knowing he'd veto it. Now Jerry Brown's the governor. We have a Democrat. They don't pass it. It's just like when Obama had the House and the Senate. When they have all the power, they don't get anything done. They actually prefer the Republicans to have some power so they can say, oh, look what the Republicans did. They blocked us. The obstructionist Republicans. No, it's not. It's not obstructionist Republicans. It's right, ridiculous. Balthazar 228, why do we still have selective service? The draft is something the U.S. would riot against if initiated. Well, that's a good point, too. You'll notice the last time we had a draft and the last time we allowed TV cameras into war zones to just show everybody how awful war is Vietnam. Every night, people come home and watch their news at the dinner table and watch all these atrocities happen in Vietnam. Civilians dying, soldiers dying, all this awful crap. And that's the last time we drafted people. And that's when everybody said no. 2007, enlistment in the military was at an all-time low because of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then weird, a recession hit. And then everybody had to join the military because there was no jobs. Or they had to re-enlist. Isn't that a weird coincidence? Isn't that a weird coincidence? Yeah. The smaller the number of the people voting, the smaller the number of people you have to convince. But Plantastic Life, that thing you talk about, Obama and the corporate Dems, yeah, of course. It's like Obama just came out and said, you know, Medicare for all, that's a great idea. Oh, wait a minute. I thought those were called ponies by Hillary Clinton. You know? I'm telling you, it's what TYT said this, Jimmy Dore said this. The Democrats would rather lose to a Republican than let progressives take over their party, because if progressives take over, they lose all their money. You know? Moose Gal, Graham, you should look in a Mixer for another video making program. Yes. Balthazar 228. Jagoff nightclub comedians and actresses have the power to sway whole elections. I fucked up by selling for just being a voter. Yeah, I know. We are Jagoff nightclub comedians. It is weird how majority of economic crashes have happened under Republicans after a corporate Dem. That's odd. I don't get it. Inbred Trump Tart. It's sad to see the amount of people who buy into war rallies the NFL is paid by the government to host. Oh, yeah, man. That's why I can't watch the NFL anymore. It's just about buying a big gas-guzzling truck and going to war and booze it up. Yeah. Clinton supporters, Jeremy Chase, they're worse because they have all this education and then still make these crazy decisions. They still vote against their own interests. Basil Peterson, I argue that Bill Clinton was no different than Trump in terms of his policies of deregulation, prisons, NAFTA, neoliberalism started under him, and Trump is the result. Yeah. They're both creepy sex offenders, too. Don't forget that. Difference is Trump's wife didn't defend him against his female accusers. Smoothie break. Boom. Let me find this for you. Also, too, for the Patreon, I dropped two Patreon videos at the $10 level. A blowjob stopped the privatization of social programs. I argue that we stop playing their game of picking a side, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, it was Clinton that consolidated the media, why we only had 6 media companies. Clinton did NAFTA, Clinton deregulated, he overturned Glass-Steagall. He did it at the end of his last term in the late 1999. He did that. He did a lot of deregulation with regards to the banks. That helped it all happen. If you watch the documentary Inside Job, you'll see all the people in Clinton's team and all the legislation that Clinton passed that helped the 2008 meltdown happen. I mean, so did Bush and the whole other gang of jackasses. I want to show you this. About to be 5 media companies. I think it already is just 5. I thought it was 5 multinational conglomerates that own. Should I show you this guy's logo? Oh, the lighting just got weird. We'll shut that down. Wow. Yeah. Snork Y2K, don't let media Bernie Andrew Yang. They yanked the camera cables in Clear Lake, Iowa to keep his opening off the camera. Yeah. Well, yeah, let's not forget that's what the corporate media did. They pulled away from Bernie's speeches to go to empty Trump podiums. They gave Trump, what, $5 billion in free advertising? So they helped him get elected. A third party is needed. It will be the biggest political establishment upset in decades. Absolutely. I am the Walrus. Do you think we're past the point of no return when it comes to climate change? Well, No, not yet. As I said, it's 2030. And Andrew Sweet pointed out this is something that Lee Camp has been saying. He's counting it down. They're saying they've done a lot of research that 2030 is the point of no return. If we don't do drastic changes, reduce CO2s, plastics, all of that, renewable energy, drastic changes in the next 12 years. After 2030, it'll be past the point of no return. That's what the experts are saying. So 12 years is not a long time. I think about what happened between now and, 2006. A lot's happened in my life. If you look back 12 years ago, a lot's happened, but still 12 years is not that long. And we need wholesale radical change, man. But here's the issue. Why this is so difficult. We're not past the point of no return. We're close. Change still can happen. And as Tulsi Gabbard said, failure is not an option. I like her military fortitude. So what's going on, as obviously as we all know, but to clarify it here, Saudi Arabia has a majority of the world's oil reserves, right? They have endless supplies of money because of all the oil they have, which buys them arms, and they get to use our military. We'll do anything for them. We'll blow up anybody they want. We'll depose any dictator. They buy all this influence. They spend all this money on think tanks and climate change denying and all this stuff. If we pivot and the whole world goes, we're done with fossil fuels, we're done, they overnight lose all their money and all their power. And they haven't done anything like Dubai realized this. Years ago, they went, uh-oh, oil's going to run out. Let's make this an international tourist destination. That's what they started spending their money on. Fancy hotels, they have film festivals there, they're getting the World Cup there or something. Like, that's what they're doing. So that's why Saudi Arabia is fighting so tooth and nail, and they're spending all this money, and the oil companies and all this other stuff. But we are getting close to the point of no return. So and as Plantastic Life points out, the military-industrial complex does not want subsidized higher education, vocational schools. It would be harder to get young people to join the military. Yeah. Yeah. Cat B says water temperature changes are destroying entire ecosystems right now as we speak. The Philippines just had a tsunami with 200-mile-an-hour winds. That's a record. That's never happened before. That's never happened. The Carolinas just got, hurricane seasons are underway here in America. The Gulf states, it's brutal. You know, and if you point out here, Jeremy Chase, if we stop burning fossil fuels now, the earth will heat up more rapidly. I don't follow that logic. What do you, that doesn't seem to make sense to me. You remove the sulfates and UV rays, we will fry our asses. I need to see more data on that. 74 native southern orcas left in captivity. 74. 3 degrees Celsius rise in the Mediterranean in the past year. Yeah. Well, this is Dennis from Germany. Money is fiction. Why are we so dumb and enslave ourselves to a system that only is out to make a profit and destroy our planet? It's a good point. Talk about the modern monetary theory discussions that I've had with Jeff Epstein from Citizens Media TV. We have the money to take care of all these problems. Why are we spending all this money on war? Why are we doing all this stuff? Money really just seems like a construct to keep people, to control people, to control the masses. Yeah, I understand, Jerry. You're not trying to be gloom and doom. This is our reality now. No, look, it's for real. California just had the most expensive wildfires it's ever had. The year prior was the most expensive, worst wildfires California has ever had. And if we keep having this drought and all this other stuff, I mean, cities are going to start burning up. Santa Rosa went up in smoke last year. I mean, it's going to be brutal. We already had wind speeds and Pacific storms that should have been reported as Category 7 by wind speed. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, too, the corporate media. I was talking to a woman, Rebecca, that works for Hard Lens Media in Chicago, and she's a meteorologist, and she was saying meteorologists on networks are not allowed to say climate change. They're not allowed to talk about it. When they talk about, oh, these storms are coming and they're getting worse than ever, they can't say it's because of climate change. They're not allowed to say that. So it's just keeping people in the dark. It's preposterous. Bluebell 51, I lost my house in 2015 to the Butte Fire in NorCal. Yeah. It's pretty brutal. Wildfires in British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and California growing war season. Absolutely. The drought, it fuels itself. The lack of water, all that stuff. The dry soil, it keeps fueling itself. Since record keeping began, average temp here in Finger Lakes, New York was in the 60s. It was about 80 all last week. You don't need a weatherman to see which way the wind blows. Yeah. I have noticed that the Weather Channel never mentions climate change anymore. Never talks about it. You can't find any weather person on any major network talking about it. They'll never say it. You lost your house in 2005 to Bill Clinton's NAFTA. Yeah, I lost my house in 2010 to Obama's bailout of the banks. That's when I lost my house, 2010. $500,000 condo would be worth probably between $1.5 million and $2 million right now. Real estate prices have gone up so much. Yep. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Graham, what do you think about President Carter coming out and saying not to advocate for single payer? I don't understand that. I always had a lot of respect for President Carter. You know, he said in multiple interviews, he said, you know, when the Iranian hostage thing happened, he goes, if I would have invaded Iran, I probably would have been reelected. But I would have killed all these civilians and countless American soldiers' lives. And I did it the peaceful way, negotiated, and I got them back. And it cost me getting reelected, but it was the right thing to do. So I have a lot of respect for Carter. I don't know why he would say that. I don't know what that means. I don't know where he's at. I don't know if he's still just thinking that it's, I got to be a good Democrat because that's my party. I really don't know. I wish I had a more concise answer for you, but I don't know what he's thinking with that. Grandma, I'm from the UK. The US is already an oligarchy controlled by the rich. It's no coincidence that the US controls the petrodollar. Yeah, of course. They had a meteorologist own someone on climate change a couple years back, and I haven't seen her since. Yeah. Well, he didn't, going back to the Carter thing, industry, he didn't really try to attack. He sent a covert mission. He was trying to just rescue the hostages in the middle of the night. And the helicopters went down and everybody died. Had that rescue mission worked, he would have been reelected. No two ways about it. I was alive when that happened. The tie the yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, that was the whole country was talking about it. Every day in the news. It's day 85 of the hostage crisis. It's day 165. Like they just, it was, everyone talked about it. There were yellow ribbons around everything. It was a huge deal. And if he could have got them back in a covert action, he would have been reelected. Why do we have to suck up to the moderate Democrats, but won't they suck up to the progressives? Moderate Democrats are the problem. It's more like rural versus suburb-urban divide. Yeah. Yeah. 444 days. Here's a house, but screw your health. He was saved. Yeah. That was such a... Anyway, I want to go like what Snorked Y2K is saying. I worked for 10 companies between 92 and 2005 and took advantage of NAFTA and moved offshore. Yeah. Reagan had the fix in. The first act of treason committed was arms for the hostages. Yep. Cappy, I almost fainted when Obama mentioned Medicare for all the other day. What was that? Oh, just taking claim for something that Bernie was talking about. I think, as somebody pointed out earlier, I think Obama is trying to set up either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris to be the nominee in 2020. Because they'll run on that to try to swoop progressive votes. That's what they're gonna be careful. You're gonna get Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or somebody like that, and they're gonna have some decent things on their resume. And then some war money shit and all this evil crap. And, oh, we're going to have to vote for them because they're better than Trump, because Trump is evil. We won't get a real progressive to be the Democratic nominee in 2020. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Boycott the next presidential election. Vote green en masse. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. Healthcare for all is code for you guys ain't getting shit. Yeah. Multiple reports of voter purges in the New York primary. Oh, well, time to vote for the Green Party. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but I'll bring it up again. Vote, since they screwed over Cynthia Nixon, because they purged basically Bernie voters, which they knew were going to support Nixon. So all these provisional ballots. There was one guy on Twitter that's like, I've been registered in this district for 20 years and my vote got purged. Vote for that Green candidate, because let me put it to you this way. If the Green candidate becomes governor of New York, then it's the best. Then it's like, ha ha, you cheating Democratic fucks. This is what you get. Put a goddamn Green in there. That'll just show everybody, fuck the Democrats, fuck their primaries, fuck their rigged bullshit, their super delegates. Fucking just get a bunch of Greens in there, man. Do it. Do it. Just make the Democratic Party irrelevant. They gave us Trump. They fucked us over having a real progressive president. We could be sitting there just watching just one amazing piece of legislation after another. We could just be watching all this stuff. Because Bernie, you know, he'd go into some red state with some senator or congressman wouldn't support one of his bills, and he'd do a town hall there and say, I want to give this to you. I want to give you single-payer health care. I want to give you free college tuition. But these guys that represent you don't want it. Out. Out. I think progressives are more cynical to fall for that incremental shit. Yeah. I think you're right. Well, everyone's waking up. They purged Mickey Counts as a DNC member. I'm in Florida, buddy. Fist bump. Jeremy Corbyn is on fire in the UK. Grammy destroyed Theresa May. Yeah, you know, and they're attacking Jeremy Corbyn the same way they attacked Bernie. He's a threat to their money. He's a threat to the corporate system in the UK, just like Bernie's a threat. Any progressive's a threat to their money. But Jeremy Corbyn, from what I see, he's just, man, he doesn't back down. He doesn't waver. He gets it. And that's what we need. Politicians that are like, I'm not backing down. I'm not going to play this incremental football game because the clock is running out. I wish more people got that. Yeah, you're right, Dens from Germany. Elected officials do have health care for life once they become senators or representatives. They get health care for life. Why can't every American citizen have that? Every American citizen should have that. We have the money for that. Every American citizen should have free health care from birth to death. It's not a privilege. Driving is a privilege. Owning a gun should be a privilege. Healthcare should be a right. Think about that. Healthcare is a privilege, but owning a gun is a right. Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me at all. So I can buy this thing that can kill another human being, or I can blow my own head off with it, but I can't get healthcare. Every human body needs it. It is a thing every single person will need, has needed. I'm very healthy. I still need to go to the doctor. Yeah, I wish we had that parliamentary questions in the U.S. We could just stand up and ask people questions. Yeah. Yeah. Seablane makes a great point. The politicians here get health care for life and then they complain about entitlements. Yeah, and warmonger Tony Blair is trying to say that Jeremy is too far left and Labor needs to be centrist again. Centrism is dead. Oh yeah, Tony Blair's fucking Iraq war centrist bullshit. Yeah, that's what the UK needs. America needs another ally, more centrist bullshit. Ugh. Plantastic life. Answer equals 0. Question. What is the amount of Canadians who would rather have the U.S. healthcare system? Yeah. Let's ask Canada. Let's go ask poll anybody in Canada, anyone that has national health care. Let's poll them. Let's ask them, would you rather have America's healthcare system? Let's see what the poll will come in at. Take a poll. Call Canadians, ask them. You guys want it? You got free healthcare now. Instead of free, you get to go to America where you get to choose your own doctor and pay out the nose. And then you got to do a Kickstarter if you have a serious operation. Or you just go into debt and bankruptcy and loans out the ass. Does that sound something you're on board with? Thanks, Dominic. You're fantastic. Don't forget, guys, super chat button. You can ask fine questions like that. It's a great way to support the show. It's a great way to support the show. All right. Danzier, I like your background. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, Basil Peterson. Dems gave the maniac Trump $80 billion more than he asked for in the military budget. Jeremy Chase, did anyone see that Jim Carrey exchange on Bill Maher? No, I didn't. I try not to watch Bill Maher. Is this one where Jim Carrey said we should go more socialism? That's cool. Cappy, what's up with the whole Kavanaugh shit show? I don't just. I'm barely following that because, of course, the fucking Democrats just fast-track this guy because they want to go home on break. It's just like, that's how they roll. That's their resistance. Just let Trump have whatever he wants. So then we can just say, we got to go, oh, Trump, Trump, Trump. They're such cowards. They're such just bold-faced cowards. Kavanaugh has, of course, a woman that's accused him. It's unreal how much the Democrats have let us down, how much they've sold us out. Yeah, some Dems didn't vote for the military budget, but that's the point, Moose Gal, that Basil is making. 5 Democrats gave Trump $80 billion extra, Elizabeth Warren being one of them, Tim Kaine. So I just don't want to hear their resist Trump bullshit when they gave him $80 billion for war. $80 billion that could have, sorry, faded out for a second. $80 billion that could have been for, we could have free healthcare right now. $80 billion would pay for it. So, here's something from PS Xbox Gamer. I'm from the UK, and Jeremy Corbyn is advocating for no National Health Service privatization and no privatization of the rail, the rail back in public ownership. Very popular policies, no incremental shit. See what I'm saying? That's what the Democrats need. I don't want to hear here's a guy saying, nope, we had really good health care. It got privatized. I don't want that to happen. We want the rail system back in public ownership. Nope. Remember how good it was? Nope. Fuck Tony Blair. He's just like he's not backing down from anybody. Even Bernie just kind of like, he does some good fights, but he's like, it's a bummer, man. Exactly. Going back to the 5 Democrats that gave Trump $80 billion, Jeremy Chase, that's the game they play. There's always just enough Democrats to pass horrible shit. It was the Democrats that eliminated a public option and for Obamacare. It was the Democrats, because the Democrats had control of the House and the Senate and the White House. And then they blamed it on obstructionist Republicans. It's bullshit. That's what they do. Andrew Sweet lives in Canada. My mom was in a hospital for 18 months and lived. $0 on the bill. There was no bill. 18 months in the hospital and no bill. Did all you Americans just hear that correctly? No bill. No bill. 18 months in the hospital in America, you are filing for bankruptcy. It's a done deal. It'll be $1 million. You won't be able to pay it. There's no two ways about it. You are filing for bankruptcy. It's done. It's done. It's a done deal. No bill. God damn it. Yeah, it is funny, Janie Kelton, that the people still think that there's 2 parties. Canada. If I lived in the U.S., I would run for Congress and expose the corporate Dem shit. Yeah, it's tough, though. I mean, look what Tulsi's had to endure. Last year when she was like, why are we bombing Syria? In April of 17. So we've bombed it. The 2 times Trump got high ratings was when he bombed Syria. The first time. Howard Dean tweeted that she should leave Congress. She's an embarrassment to the United States. Howard Dean. Yep. He's in some think tank with Newt Gingrich where they just sit there and concoct ways to fuck poor people or something. And eat kittens or whatever they do. It's crazy. In 2016, I had to have a pacemaker put in me, but I didn't have to pay for any of it in the U.S. and my 9 day hospital stay. I have to use Medicaid. My job is only part-time, 9 days. Snork White 2K, my bill for my wife's first 2 weeks in the hospital ICU was about $4 million, and she was in ICU for about 6 months. Jesus Christ. That's insane. I'm sorry I had to go through that. I really am. Man. There are way too many medical bankruptcy in the U.S. Yeah. It's something like, I forget the percentage, but it's a pretty high percentage of the overall household debt is like for medical bills in America. There's an average household debt, and a crazy amount, 40% or something like that, is from medical bills. Richest country in the history of the world. We spent $5 trillion at least on the global war on terror for the last 17 years. $5 trillion. So another $5 trillion, another 17 years, at 34 years of nonstop war on terror. Then are we going to stop? Is that we will have cured terrorism? $5 trillion. And we've all been stuck with medical bills. I did get an MRI for a pinched nerve. It cost me several grand, and I have insurance. To pay my monthly premium, I had to pay a copay, and then I had to pay all the thousands of dollars that weren't covered to get an MRI. Great system. This is great system. Great system. Yeah. Medical bills. I've had to do bankruptcy and foreclosure. Thanks to Bush and Obama, those fucking assholes. So yeah, I'm all for incrementalism. I'm all for just lesser of two evils. Any blue will do. I'm a big fan of it. Can't wait. Yep. Elizabeth Warren, get her in there. Yep. Dianne Feinstein, Tim Kaine. There's big heroes. They're all heroes. Who's gotten the most money from Goldman Sachs? If you guessed Chuck Schumer, you're right. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that fantastic? Boy, he's really fighting for us, isn't he? He's fighting for Main Street, not Wall Street. And if I'm elected, I will give you platitudes upon platitudes. Blah, 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 blah. You're all fucked. Yeah. Feinstein and single payer. I'm not there yet. Take America back as long as the... I know I want to hit 10,000 subscribers, Progressive Gen Xer channel, but they keep purging it. They keep purging it, man. Lead with our values. Gina Colby, these Democrats who were fighting to save Obamacare were silent on universal health care. Complicit. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird what they're silent about? Isn't that weird? It's all your fault those kids are in cages, Graham. At least that's what the neoliberals say. Yeah, you're right. Shalom, shalom. The West is in trouble. Dennis from Germany. Your premiums, etc., you pay for healthcare are another form of tax. I pay 7% of my paycheck as healthcare contributions, and that is no deductibles, etc. Hashtag when you lead with your lawsuits. Let us lead with our lawsuits. Let us lead with our platitudes and not help anybody that really needs it. Boom, shalakalak, boom. I'm not for government control of healthcare, Feinstein, while she uses Medicare. Yeah. Anytime you hear privatization is good, it means it's good for the corporations and the politicians that are getting paid by them. That's what privatization means. They always make their government system such a mess. Oh yeah, and the privatization has been so awesome for the prison system and Halliburton, and so great. So great. End all welfare. We are not commies. Can't take money from Jim to pay Joe. Interesting. I hope the Dems get their asses smacked up in the coming election. So do I. I hope they get crushed. Imagine if Obama campaigned on what he actually was and not as a progressive hero. Yeah, if he told the truth. I'm a centrist that's going to bail out the banks, expand the surveillance state, take us into an endless special op drone strike wars around the globe, let more pipelines get built to help 5.2 million foreclosures happen. I'll pass gay marriage. A handful of environmental pieces of legislation, but nothing real. Nothing lasting. I'll let the banks get away with murder. Yes, we can. Hope and change. Yeah, he allowed drilling in the Arctic. Nature Boy, one of the ultimate ironies of our country that the establishment constantly advocates for, the free market model, yet the biggest companies are totally relentless in rigging the system. Absolutely. Oh, thanks for watching the channel. Yeah, he passed gay marriage. Troll alert. Oh. Here we go. Troll alert. Indeed. Boom, 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 boom. I'm from the UK. Even I would be done with the shit if they get a neocon Biden 2020. Yeah. He didn't pass a damn thing but Obamacare. Crazy. Guys, we're wrapping up here. I really want to thank you for coming to the show. I understand a lot of you not wanting to donate to Google. I appreciate that, but then I need your support on patreon.com/Graham Elwood. I have a live show this Saturday with Kira Sultanovich, who's very funny, and Sam Tripoli from Tinfoil Hat Podcast, and a couple other comics, my friend Jim Bruce. That's this Saturday, September 22nd at 8 p.m. at the Corbin Bowl. It's the Stay in Your Lane comedy show. It's in Tarzana, California. Check it out. Some of you are already going, I know. Go to GrahamElwood.com. November 2nd, Ron Placone and I are doing Progressive Comedy Tour in Sacramento. November 3rd, San Francisco. That's also at GrahamElwood.com. Please check that out and support the show, guys. I need your support on the Patreon.com. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. They are unsubscribing people. And then hit the bell notification button. And watch me on Daily Motion, too, if I can build the numbers up there. All right, Balthazar228, check out Streamlabs, no money to Google. Okay, I know I keep saying this is the thing, it's just me. I want to find a better live chat platform for you guys to donate on, so you're not giving it to Google. But I got to do one thing at a time. But I appreciate that, Balthazar228. I know you've been a big supporter of the show, and I totally understand if you don't want to give money to Google. I get that. I'm slowly moving off of that. But again, I should be on DLive and Steam it hopefully this week. Well, Steam it hopefully this week, and then we start doing cryptocurrency, which I'm all about. I'm going to get me some Bitcoin. So thank you all so much for supporting the show, and like and subscribe, push the videos out. I'm putting more content on Patreon. I put 2 videos up this week because I want to make that a little more valuable. I want to thank Plantastic Life 3 times, hat trick from Plantastic Life and Balthazar228. You guys are awesome for supporting the show. I really love doing this. We always have a nice turnout of people. We got 62 people right now, which is really cool. I will be doing a show next week. My schedule is kind of evening out a little bit, so it looks like it's getting pretty consistent that it'll be more consistently Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific like I've been doing. So thank you so much. Oh, Basil Peterson, man. I appreciate you supporting the show and the Julian Assange posts. Yeah, man. That's what I like doing. I like doing that Unity for Jay and that monthly vigil that we do, and watch the Susie Dawson videos. And she could use some support too. She's had to sacrifice a lot to be a whistleblowing journalist from New Zealand. So support Susie Dawson. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. And boom, shellac-a-lack. Basil Peterson, Balthazar228, and Plantastic Life 3 times. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Yeah, Progressive Gen Xer, I'm just figuring out crypto investing. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm new to it. It does not make a lot of sense to me, but I'm having conversations with a lot of people who are like, do it, get into it. So I'm trying to figure that out. So if you have any info on that, like about how to invest in crypto, or because I'm really like, I barely get it. Email info@grahamelwood.com and give me some information about cryptocurrency. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate. You guys are fantastic. We need to go back to gold and silver. Cappuccino conserve, the vegetable processing plant is crazy. Well, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I love doing this. I'm glad you like the new studio. It's cool that we're doing more stuff. That Skype interview that I did with Susie Dawson was super high tech and all, and I really, I hope all of you have a great week and stay progressive. Keep up the fight. You guys are all political vigilantes and you are all making Gotham great again. Here comes the finger.